And as he mentioned, you can see more of him in the King Najashi play a little later tonight at 9:30. Right now, we're going to be switching up our gears a little bit. We heard a lot of rap and hip hop, some great music. But right now, we want to hear a little from our amazing spoken word artists from an organization called Stay Woke. Really excited to bring them out. Going to bring the first one out right now. Maliha is the founder and executive director of the Stay Woke Youth nonprofit organization and is pursuing a master's in global health at McMaster University. As an advocate for marginalized communities, she founded Stay Woke at the age of 17 as a means to establish community through creativity. Her writing stems from her passion for addressing community health through an intersectional and social justice lens. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for Maliha Butta Khan.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Maliha, and I'm the founder and executive director at the Stay Woke Youth Nonprofit Organization. Now, I know the term Stay Woke may sound triggering for a lot of people because it's been co-opted by alt-left-wing and alt-right-wing medias and ideologies. But we started this organization when we were just 17 years old, just over 5 years ago, for the sole purpose of uniting a creative youth community at the intersection of social justice. Because in a world where our beliefs are constantly being challenged and we're being scrutinized and we have oppression taking place both locally and globally, it's becoming important now more than ever to speak your truth. And that's exactly what we're here to do. Because it's actually in our religion to care not just about yourself, but about your neighbors, the people around you, people who are Muslim, people who are not Muslim, and to demand justice beyond our thoughts and prayers. Alhamdulillah, we engage a growing youth community of over 600 young people who attend, over 1,600, young people who attend our open mic and galleries, our socials. They get their work published in our magazines, and above all else, they're able to make connections and create art with other youth creators. We're hosting an open mic and social tomorrow at MuslimFest in the amphitheater right across from the main stage at 6 p.m. and we'd love to see you all there. You can follow us on our Instagram at StayWokeEvent or go on our website www.staywokeevent.com to learn more. Now we have an amazing lineup for MuslimFest this year, and who have been able to grow and make connections through our organization, and we're so grateful to have them here today. I'm going to start us off with a spoken word, and then I'll pass the mic to the next three. Something that brings me joy are the nights I spend driving down empty streets. You know the ones, summer nights, music blasting, feel the breeze, knowing this is exactly where you're supposed to be. Those nights bring warmth and stability, darkness draping over tragedy. And for those moments, as we speed down the street, my 4 soulmates, 1 next to me and 3 in the back seat, their dim lights are the only colors lighting up the night. I look to my left, and then to my right, I pause and memorize the sound of their laughs, the curve of their smiles. I swear, just 3 years ago, their lights shine brighter. Headlights in the distance speeding towards us, and we collide, shattered glass and broken bones, but the body can repair damage that the mind only tries. We sit stunned in silence. And she is the first to cry. I remember the first night, she described the feeling of losing control. Thinking you're one of the players, but realizing you were just one of the goals. He thought, she laughed, that if he kept kicking the ball, it would roll. He thought, she cried, that if he kept kicking the ball, he would score. Ignoring red cards and red flags, half-nosed and controlling hands that once supported her because that was supposed to be her best friend, a secret she'll keep forever because it'll be her reputation that's ruined in the end. Because this brother, well, this brother reads Quran and prays 5 times a day. You may know him from Islamic summer camp or a brother in the community. All of these facts you're spitting somehow give him complete immunity. So while they hurt, he walks free. Don't tell me that's what Islam is supposed to be. See, controlling superficial things like appearances have more conveniency, so these issues are treated as taboos and silenced. With more leniency, my mind digests this piece by piece. Chest tight and heart wide, I try to remember what her smile looked like without bloodstains in the crease. I check on the 3, sitting in the back seat, heads tilted down and look of shame, reliving the moments when there was no give and too much take, boundaries crossed because he looked the other way, but he told herself she'd never do that. She probably just looked in the wrong place. Long nights sleeping between him and self-blame, waking up in time to put a smile on for the day, but she learned that a boy who treats you nice and has all the right things to say can still crush your bones as the lies and double lives weigh down on your body. 7 months after, when she told me that post-collision, she'd found shards of his glass in another girl's body, that he was everything he said he wouldn't be, but trauma has a way of manipulating reality, and on her lowest night, she plays it back in search for the line of consent. It's just a little blurry. She blinks once, and then twice. I ask if she's all right. Just a concussion, she replies. From unplanned direct impact, but with such force, it's gonna take more than ice to heal the damaged perspective that clouds her eyes. The one sitting next to her is trapped under the seatbelt. I wonder if it's suffocating her, and she tells me that's exactly how she felt when he pushed her, till she gave in. Her first time, but clearly not his, so they crossed not one, not two, but all the bases, and she laid there confused with her chest feeling just as tight as his embraces. And when he said there might have been an accident, a mistake, she cried because she thought she'd put on the brakes. So she walked alone and scared to the drugstore to fix it while her body and heart ached. And when she closed her eyes, she can still see the look on the pharmacist's face, handing her the box as her hands shake, thinking, God, is this even allowed? It's already too late. You know, she still woke up in time to ace her midterm the next day because life doesn't have a pause, and plan B is never really a clean slate. 7 months after, when she was rescued from the wreck, she realized that sometimes what you have is not what is advertised. It's hard to breathe when during chaos, he hands you a gas mask labeled as oxygen in disguise. I tell her this time it's real. The paramedics are here to help, but they no longer see the value in saving her life. I would give her my blood if I could to revive her broken body stained blue from all the times she was too scared to say no, and found ease in a half-compromise. The last one says nothing, as she recalls her own darkness that took place under the same night sky, and how since then her mind has been paralyzed. Her first day on the job when he made unwanted advances, and she looked through every manual, but this wasn't covered in workplace safety, and with each day she dreaded it more and more because he should have acted like a mentor in theory. So how come these messages feel predatory? Is this what they're all like even when they've got a wife and baby? The same hypocritical men who have a power chokehold in our community, draining the life till our girls can't breathe. They could do no wrong, sitting at their table of all pious men in their little boys club comfortably, running their mouths and letting their hands go free because they're granted complete immunity, preying on young girls who keep their dirty crimes under the rug in secrecy for fear that if it was let out, they'd be the ones they're calling crazy. Because who is she to take on the entire board run by him and his 9 buddies who all used to let loose in uni, live it up with your boys, then find a nice, modest girl to marry, then 10 years later, rake your eyes up and down other young girls' bodies. The same type of women you used to mess with at parties are now the ones you don't think are deserving of your respect and are exiled from the community. As I say these words, are you listening? Or just hearing me speak, offering your sympathies? I guess she was just the collateral in his midlife crisis. So he'll continue to prey on the next girl and the one after that, all while she could only reread the receipts. Do you understand how heart-stopping it feels to be standing in your own backyard and knocked off your feet? This is not the first time she's been hit on the street. So at this point, she stands there, and in her eyes, a look of defeat. It's hard fighting when all you really want is to be left alone to die in peace. I'm trying to move my hands from the steering wheel on the count of 1, 2, 3. Desperately hoping to catch whatever's left of this night, but we can only sit and hope for the sun to rise. I check on the 3, sitting in the back one last time. Hearts heavy, body slumped, barely breathing and alive. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Maliha Butta Khan. Let's keep it going. We have some more amazing artists in spoken word. Next up in the Stay Woke youth lineup is Isha Rahman. Isha is a writer, poet, and activist who has been putting her emotion into words since middle school. Winner of the 2022 Mississauga Poetry Contest, Isha's performances and work have appeared in literary magazines, open mics, and poetry slams locally and worldwide. Her poetry draws from her experiences with grief, Islamophobia, identity, and other themes. She sincerely believes in using poetry for change and can't wait to share it with you all. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Isha Rahman.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah khair for that amazing intro. As you know, my name is Isha. I'm a spoken word poet, and inshallah tonight I'm going to be sharing 2 poems. The first of which is called Muslim Bill of Rights. First Amendment. I'm a prisoner of the press, breaking news with every breath. If I whisper jihad, this is no different than yelling fire in a crowded theater. Second Amendment. I'm a sheep trapped in wolf's clothing. I have been caught howling at the moon and mistaken for predator, mistaken for bloodthirsty, mistaken for a mistake in need of erasing by dipped in pig's blood silver bullet to ensure the security of the masses. Third Amendment. I'm the star of a reality TV show. Cameras quartered in my phone through my home's shoot, every step I take, every move I make, they are watching and waiting. See, the credits for this show doubles as a registry of Muslims, Fourth Amendment. I'm a word jumble puzzle. There are letters scattered through the cracks in my skin and meaning hidden in the dry blood. They unreasonably search me for words they expect to find instead of letting my blood speak for itself, Fifth Amendment. I'm a Jeopardy game clue. RCMP's most wanted for 1 billion. This person is denied their rights without due process, so tell me, who is the terrorist? Sixth Amendment. I'm a tree in a forest, roots ripped out. I have taken the fall for crimes I did not commit. No one hears a sound. Seventh Amendment. I am climate change. They examine me and re-examine me and re-examine me, hoping my facts become lies and their lies become facts. Eighth Amendment. I'm a punching bag hanging from my neck as they cruelly, unusually beat my body until the Arabian sands trickle from my feet. Ninth Amendment. I am deteriorating memory. I have been unable to retain any of my rights, enumerated or otherwise, further forgotten with every second. 10th Amendment. I am a Muslim. Am I not? We, the people. I take my power as promised by the Constitution and declare independence. We hold your lies to be self-evident, that all men are not protected equal, that they are endowed by their tyrants with certain unalienable burdens, that among them are death, oppression, and the pursuit of justice. Jazakallah khair. So that poem was actually one of a couple written after the devastating loss of our London family, as a way for me to process what I was feeling at that time. You know, loss is something I write about a lot because, you know, as Muslims, we're taught to live our lives knowing that death can come at any time. You know, live your life to the fullest. So loss was what pushed me to finish the second poem just a few weeks ago. And this one is for my Nanu. Bismillah. 2 facts. I'm 5 feet tall, and love and fear are more similar than you think because they're both felt the most when they leave. On October 11th, 2018, Allah called home a soul that was too pure for this world. I know because my mother told me she had a dream where an angel slipped through the window of his room, eclipsing it in light. She believes that it was Malik al-Maut that swept through the house, the angel of death. I do not know if I believe it. What I do know is that day, there was not another living soul in that house when the angels took him home. I know that it scares me. More than that piece of paper we got in the weeks that followed, terminal. I think about how true that was, that my heart was terminally grieving, terminally seeing the threshold where you lay that day, terminally living every moment with the reminder of your absence. I realize hindsight isn't 2020, it's made of regret. And that everyone I ever loved will someday die. I will die. I remember that repetitive, at least he didn't suffer. Hollow consolation, I suppose, but I wonder if it hurt him more in those final moments, more than that sudden stop to realize what you're leaving behind, to register that you're unable to say goodbye. I remember looking down at his grave. I remember that feeling, and I'm exhausted of bargaining with God, like, how about I trade my 5 feet for yours? My mother tells me that's not how that works. She reminds me that I need to live up to his love, that I need to live. She reminds me of many things. See, I remember her begging me from the bed in that hospital room, Beta, namaz na chorna. Do not leave your prayer. It is your anchor. It will be the only thing that grounds you to reality. The only thing that will keep you safe when I no longer can. I do not tell her that I was losing ground, that I was drowning in sinkhole of grief, because I know she was too. I remember it was her words that terrified me sitting in that hallway after the doctors took me out. If you can't handle your salah, how will you handle your grave? I believe her, and that scares me more. I am scared because I do not believe I deserve forgiveness. The way the walls of my mother's hospital room heard more prayers from me than my prayer mat at home ever did. Because love and fear are synonymous with grief. They are felt most in their departure, desperation. I hear the machine beep again and again. The doctor asks me and again, and I beg him, no, please, I need more time. The same way I know I will weep in front of my Lord again and again. No, please send me back. I'll be good this time. Time is never our friend. He would have wanted you to remember him this way, strong and whole. My hands thump again and again against his sternum. My heart stops to the beat of CPR, and I will it 2 inches deep. Take mine, take me instead. Please remember. See, remembering is never the issue. I remember the moment my father pulled my hands away. I remember screaming. I remember the sound my mother's body made when it hit the ground. I remember the paramedic who told me he was gone had a scar above his right eyebrow. Remembering is never the issue. Forgetting is. And I took it for granted. See, he always thought about my future. Doctor, lawyer, child, mother, granddaughter, Guriya. My golden girl, the comfort of confidence. You are mine no matter what the world says about you. You belong to me, and I'm sorry, Nanu. Because time is never our friend. And suddenly I am walking across that stage, paper in my hands, proud. And I remember that I cannot remember the way you smell, even as I press my cheek against the familiar roughness of your coat. Suddenly, I am reciting vows, and I remember the way you smiled, and the way your eyes crinkled. Mama tells me I smile like you. Suddenly, I am burying the rest of myself in another grave. Too little time, too late, again and again. Suddenly, I am holding life in my arms for the first time, and I realize I am not glad. I ask myself, how can I be when you're not here? But it was death's hands that pulled me into truth, reminded me we are all going to die. Death's hands are not gentle. They are firm, but not unkind. The kind of destiny we spend our lives racing towards, racing away from. It was death that guided me out of the abyss, into the light. And so, for you and for myself, I live. Jazakallah khair. May Allah grant my Nanu and all of our departed loved ones Jannah. Jazakallah khair.
Let's give it up for Isha Rahman! Let's keep the energy going. We got another great spoken word artist coming right up. Next up, in the Stay Woke youth lineup, is Zinnia Wasim. Zinnia is a third-year student at the University of Toronto. She's been performing at open mics since 2019. One area of focus in her academic and personal work includes assessing interaction of religion, gender, and politics, both in public and private spaces. Zinnia values intellectual humility and looking at complex issues through multiple perspectives, which she hopes is also represented in her storytelling. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Zinnia Wasim!
Hello, everyone. All right. I first want to thank MuslimFest and also Stay Woke for providing me this opportunity to share some of my own words and also partake in storytelling. Storytelling for me has been a mode to express, but also a mode to hide. Hide from metaphors and formulated sentences, allowing me to provide a story in the most ambiguous ways. However, even though I use these metaphors, I wouldn't call my words half-truths, but rather not completely understood truths, as a lot of what I speak about are emotions that I am still trying to unpack with each word and each sentence. And the following story here that I'll share with you today is an example of just that. There was a moment when I returned home after a few months, and for the first time, I witnessed the scent of my own house. Something that I thought was only accessible to the guests which entered this space. And if I was to describe this scent, I would say that it was a mixture of amla oil and spices we place in our food and old furniture that has been hibernating in our home for years. An aroma which used to only be accessible to the guests which entered this space suddenly was being experienced by my own physicality. And in that moment, I felt like a stranger to those four walls. I wondered whether this house of mine had intentionally, maybe unintentionally, been reduced to its four walls. A home to a house to a building to its corners, a corners to its lines, and lines to nothingness. With each doorknob I turned and tap I opened, my physical self was oddly being reintroduced to a physical space that has formulated the experiential diagnosis of my senses. The way that I love, the way that I hurt, and the way that I see. This home that has been built upon my ancestors' bloods, diasporic movement, and generational hardship was suddenly ruptured from my own history. And so in that moment, I felt hollowed of a home whose lines run through my palms and whose four walls mimic the four chambers of my heart. What was present was this dualism, or this double consciousness of myself existing over and alongside myself, my past self, immortalized. The same body in the same bed with a different mind, out of place, in a place that has brought me here. And here is where I felt this tension. This scent symbolized attachment yet distance, familiarity yet change, safety yet betrayal. I was oscillating between a space, a conceptualization of my home that was immortal, yet whose parts were dying within me as I moved further away. Some which I was attempting to catch, and some which I willingly let go. And in this oscillation, I was swifting from this acceptance that while the intangible materiality of this home is intertwined with the abstract art of my body, this home does not possess me, even if it feels like it at times. But they tell you that you are the home, that you are the four walls, that you are the corners, the lines, and that you are nothing more. And so your body merges with the walls of your room and you disappear so you cannot leave. For years you enclosed yourself into that room until this house became your shadow and your body was recasted into a disoriented fiction between the modes of real and imaginary. In other words, your attachment to this home is more like confinement, and your familiarity is more like a barrier, and your safety is more like a lie, a myth provided to you like poison so that you can keep these ruptured walls intact, upholding an artifact for strangers and guests to simply walk by, criticize, and forget. And so any attempt of distancing or change is perceived by you as betrayal to yourself, and more so your relationalities. But you and I both know that the cracks on these walls are not of your doing. They are fossils and you are fresh soil. And as you attempt to keep these ruptured walls intact and hide in the fragments of your home, the lines in your palms become cracks in your skin, now permeable to the paint on these walls. You increased your threshold to wait and mistaken it as patience, sacrificing your instinctual boundaries, sacrificing yourself to imprisonment disguised as praise. I am sorry that they have told you that you are fused with your home, but I am here to tell you that you are not your home. You leaving will not break this home that's already broken, so save yourself and save your body. You are not these walls, you are not these corners, you are not these lines, you are depth. And your presence, your embodiment transcends this place. So become a guest, become a stranger, and distinguish yourself from here. You can leave, you can go. And I'm begging you to go, so please go. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Zinnia Wasim! We have our final spoken word artist for the Stay Woke panel. Next up in the Stay Woke youth lineup is Mania Butta Khan. Mania is a second-year student at the University of Waterloo, studying business and digital arts. She's been performing spoken word at open mics since 2019 and has been doing photography and videography with the Stay Woke organization since their very first event. Her growing passion for poetry surrounding issues of mental health and diversity and inclusion is anchored in her belief in speaking your authentic truth. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Mania Butta Khan!
Hi guys. So I wrote this piece about a year ago, and I think there's been a lot of growth for myself since, but I do think that this is something that is very relatable and needs to be more talked about. So here's my spoken word. Sometimes I think I'm never enough, but at the same time, always just a little bit too much. It all became overwhelming. The constant inner battles, people-pleasing, self-taught lies, and deceiving. When your biggest enemy becomes yourself, overcompensating becomes your coping mechanism and form of self-help. And I didn't know what to do with the piercing silence and aching feeling when my thoughts and feelings were just too revealing. And that disappointing feeling when you didn't show up the way I needed. I had tried to dig a little deeper to learn more of your secrets. And I knew you put up walls, but I took the fall because I take anything at all, no matter how small. It's a give and take. I give and you take, but it's too much pain, not enough to sustain. And when you give a little more, I take it and run, but I guess I was just a little too close to the sun, and now I'm walking on eggshells and censoring what I say, making sure everything is always okay. Did I say too much? Was it not enough? Did I do it again? Hold on, let me unsend. Was it the wrong thing to say? I know I'll replay it either way, so I guess it doesn't matter anyways. An out-of-body experience as she sits there wondering if everything was up to your standard, every wrong running through her mind as it all became too much to handle. The answers never found, lost in the piercing sounds, flatlining as her body falls to the ground. All of that, yet she is still numb to the feeling, trying to get her attention, ripping through her, kicking and screaming, paralyzed because she is still dreaming, refusing to take notice that her heart is bleeding. Playing till her hands become weak and frail, till they can't move and she is sick and pale. Her muscles give out and her heart begins to fail. All of that, yet she is still on the outside, watching as something in her dies. Selling your soul ties to stay on a high and tell pretty lies is something that will never sit right, no matter how hard you try. Breaking every bond to stay on top with the next, never fully moving on, never truly being your best. Just tell me. Will I ever be enough? Or will I always be just a little bit too much? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise for Mania Butukhan, and make some noise for the Stay Woke spoken word panel. That was amazing.